This is Mik Cribben, director of Beware Children at Play. These kids are so cute they'll just break your heart, and then they'll eat it. I was working as a cameraman, as a production manager on other people's films. I worked doing everything. And there was a young fellow who had made a movie out in Staten Island. It was a horror film about a Vietnam veteran and stuff, and he made it for like $30,000. And he had written a script, and I found somebody to, that was the only thing he did, and I had found somebody to invest in the script. Weeks went by, and I'm working on this for like a month, getting this together, and finally he called. I said, listen, we've got to sign a piece of paper. First of all, he said, well, you know, I've been, and this was like a Troma kind of, it would have been a perfect picture for Troma. And he called me up and he said, well, you know what, I'm talking to my lawyer and we want to do this as a big studio picture with major stars, you know. So I ended up having this money and having some investors. And Beware Children at Play is a script that I had commissioned and written with a fellow named Fred Sharkey, and it had been optioned several times. So we said, let's go, we got this money, let's go do it ourselves. And we started to make it, and it was sort of like, you know, the Mickey Rooney movie. Gee, my dad's got the barn, and we could make the costumes ourselves. And, you know, I had been working as a cameraman with people shooting low-budget movies, so I had all of the equipment that you need. I had the cameras, I had the sound, and we made it really, really cheaply. I mean, you hear stories. I'm not sure anybody's done it much cheaper than what we did it for. The budget of the movie probably was $200,000 or $300,000. The cash that we laid out was like $30,000 or $40,000 tops. You were asking me about the boom pole. Actually, when we're doing stuff, we would make a boom pole. We'd buy a window washer's pole at the hardware store, and we'd buy a little thing from a sound shop, the little nipple that goes on the end, and we'd just glue that together and have a boom pole for $30 instead of spending $300 or $400. We used every kind of film stock you could possibly imagine. It's something that I insist upon movies that I shoot now. I wouldn't want to do this, but we did it on this where we had different, we never mixed them within one scene, but for different scenes, we'd use Kodak on one scene and we'd use high-speed Fuji on another. Where did you get the film? The film we bought is short ends off of bigger pictures. You know, somebody's doing a big picture and they had film left over and we would buy the film. It never dawned on me at the time the reaction we would get about killing kids in a movie. I mean, you see movies all the time where people are being killed and murdered. The idea of kids, for me, wasn't that shocking. I suppose having worked in a lot of these films, maybe I've become inured to them. But the reaction was really, people were very, 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 very shocked. We were worried about the kids being on set when we were doing special effects and them being affected by it. And so when we first did the first special effects in the movie, we had the kids go away, and kids loved it. They wouldn't go away. They wanted to stand and watch and the whole thing. Somebody'd be walking around with a knife in them. And for them, it was very, very, very funny. I don't know about how horror films affect people. There's a school of thought, the Christian Coalition, say people are going to see movies that show murder and killing in them, and it's going to make them less sensitive to violence. And I'm not sure that they're wrong. The other theory, which is, I hope is true and more likely to be true, is the theory of catharsis, which is the reason why we like horror films, is that these are our fears. And this is a healthy way of dealing with these horrible things that happen in real life. And there's nothing that you can show in a film that's anywhere near as horrible as the things that happen in real life. There's nothing in a Troma film that's as bad as the things that are shown in ancient Greek tragedy. I mean, people cutting up their children and putting them in and having them for dinner. I mean, that's the ancient Greek tragedy.